As the clock strikes 7, the fights alive. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topic's too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, family, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Thursday, September 18th, and tonight's topic is one that kind of I think everyone can relate to right now. Everyone can kind of relate to. Why is everyone so angry? Peterson, there seems to be anger everywhere. Why is everyone so angry? Like from the recent shooting of Charlie Kirk, to the Annunciation shooting in Minneapolis. There was a huge demonstration in London, about 200, almost 200,000 people. There was another riot in Nepal. I mean, all over the world, right? I mean, it's like now there's so much controversy going on here. People going out there on Facebook, people shouting at each other on social media, national guard stuff that we talk about here. It's like there's just so much going on. It's like, why is everyone so angry? So tonight we'll be dissecting this. Hopefully there should be a mental health expert joining us as well, to kind of contribute to the conversation, just to because Peterson and I might not have the answer, to why people are so angry, but it's just that you see it everywhere. So Peterson, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Abe. This is Peterson from the Windy City, and like Brian said, this is one topic that it touches everybody. It touches everybody. It's like either you see it or you experience it close hand, or like people within your cycle that are dealing with this. And I guess there are different reasons that people will give you. If you go to like economic part, people will say, oh, because people are working harder and earning less. If you go to the psychology and psychiatry, they will say, oh, it's mental health. If you go, like, there can be a lot of things that you can attribute to what's really going on. And no one person is right, and no one person has the solution. It has to be something that we have to examine ourselves and then come together and say, okay, well, this is how we solve this problem.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a good one. Folks. So tonight, there's the Inner Circle podcast where we amplify, empower, and elevate immigrant voices. And we'll come at you here 5 days a week, 7:30 every day. So join the movement, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter or X, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, LinkedIn, everywhere. We are everywhere, and we bring this kind of conversation, right? Just to educate, inform our people, things like that. So you can contribute to the conversation tonight by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. But before we get into this topic, where Peterson, I don't know if you heard it. I mean, it kind of related to the same anger stuff, just a few laundry list stuff. It's like few things on my chest I want to get out, and I know you can also chime me here. Is that okay? I know you are fair about the Jimmy Kimmel late night cancellation. That's huge. It's been making the waves. It's trending. National leaders I speaking up on it. Is it the end of free speech? Are they going to cancel Inner Cycle podcast? Are they going to cancel everything? I'm just, I just want to say,
Uh,
right? I just want to say, I just want to say, look, I think number one, I mean, the administration, I've always said, in fairness, full disclosure, right? I voted for the administration. I support some of their policy. I'm a Republican, proud of it. But I think the administration, and I know you're not talking about it, they are going down a slippery slope. Miss B and I talked about this last night. Like I told her that okay, the left or the Democratic Party or whatever, or those and that whole Me Too movement were canceling a lot of people. Now that we have had the opportunity to gain power, we cannot do the same thing, right? We cannot go down that slippery slope. So I think, by whatever Jimmy Kimmel said, I don't think whether he was right or not, right? It's free speech. It was, and the man's a comedian. If you listen to these guys, they like to joke. So I think it's wrong. I don't think the administration should have or ABC, right? But it was a threat from the administration.
it
But
was
ABC
it
pulled
was
the plug on the man. Now
exactly.
the mayor is off air. But what's the reaction to that? The whole
Yeah.
speech thing that's going on.
When I heard it this morning, it was I was listening to NPR early this morning, and I heard it, and I kept tuning in. But then they said, "Oh, they're going to give like more detail about it." I think it was like they say in 15 minutes. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, I don't have 15 minutes away. Can you just give me the news already? So this afternoon or this evening on my way from work, I was listening to NPR, and yeah, like you said, the pressure. It was pressure from the like the FCC commissioner
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whoever it was, and he targeted Jimmy Kimmel, and I guess they said they gave some sort of warning. They told him, well, the powers that be, they have to do something about him or else. And the
yeah,
access comes down. But even besides Jimmy Kimmel, it seems like this month we're in this past week, things have been like happening. I know we talked about like the cancel culture here
mm-hmm,
in the podcast
hmm.
from like the last administration, like you mentioned and stuff like that. But it wasn't like, okay, well, this is, you can say whatever you want, whoever you talk about, but this one's out of bounds. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was telling my wife this morning, I'm like, even the president of the United States, I mean, when President Trump, his first term, there were like people all around the world basically going at him. But
hmm,
it didn't come down to this where they're like, hey, if you say anything negative, you are like
yeah,
cancel.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
are
yeah,
canceled. And so it's like, then what happens to free speech? Like, yeah, it's something that's supposed to be protected, and all speech is protected speech, as long as it does not, even those that leaves, because you are not inciting, you are not telling somebody like, hey, go and do this, you go and do this. You're not giving somebody instructions, but if you give some inflammatory discussion, how you doing, and somebody listens to you, and then they go and take matters into their own hands and do something radical, then they should be held accountable. But we shouldn't all have to be punished because of that.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think, as I said, right, the administration is going down a slippery slope. I don't think we should go down that path. The reason why you have a social media culture that's so vibrant in this country, the reason why a lot of people make money out of media, a lot of
Mhm.
people have been successful in media, because America, you can say
Yep.
anything and everything goes in this country, and no matter who is directed to. So we shouldn't get away from that. So that's one. The second thing is, it's Latino Heritage Month. Just want to give a shout. And there's a huge. I know the last time we talked about, right, there's a huge
Hmm.
Latino community in the Chicago area, in the
Yep.
winter city of Chicago.
Hmm.
There's a huge festival here in Rochester, Minnesota this weekend. Just
Okay.
want to give a shout out to our Latinos and brothers and sisters. I mean, same way too, right? As I said, there's a huge Latino community in your backyard.
Yeah, here in Chicago, we have a huge population of Latino community for Latinos, and I think a couple days ago was like Mexico's Independence Day, but
Okay.
it started with like massive ice raids within the Chicago area. So, but before that, a lot of the planners and leaders within the community they had already postponed
Okay.
whatever festival or parade they're supposed to have this weekend. They
Hmm.
some communities like they just blank out canceled, and then others they postponed for a couple of months, and because since the presence of ice here in the Chicago area is like really new, a lot of people didn't know what to do. If they should gather, come out, and things like that. So, but yeah, with the ice raids and still with the threat of National Guard coming to Chicago, we just see the news every day. It didn't help the matter.
Okay. Thanks for that. And lastly, just want to give a shout out again to all our super fans out there that watch our day in and day out, 5 days a week, watch live, watch the episode afterward. We just want to appreciate all of you. And all those celebrating birthdays, we are super fans celebrating birthday this weekend, man. Happy birthday, happy pre-birthday to all of you guys and things like
Yep.
that. So with that, let's pivot to tonight's conversation. As I said, right, it was a wellness and mental health expert joining us, so she will be part of the conversation tonight. So, Adrian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to just raise the joy, raise the hope. Um, in a space and place like you were talking about Hispanic heritage. I'm from New York, so we got a lot of Hispanic people, Afro Latinas, and so yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good, man. As I said, right, there's anger everywhere. It's like I'm wondering. I know Peterson wondering the same thing, and so it's like there's so much anger everywhere. You go on social media, people going at it at each other, right? I mean, the recent shooting here in the United States, even when you kind of monitor world news, is like it's a huge demonstration in London. Like it's just fear and anger. Everyone seems to be so angry, right? You cannot have a normal conversation with someone these days without them going at you. So wondering, like, I mean, both of these two of you, right? Anyone, any of you can chime in here. From my own observation, as what I've seen, what's all this anger is coming from, right? Let me start with you as a mental health expert, right? As awareness and mental health, that you engage people every day. You talk to. Where's all this anger coming from? I can't, because I struggle to understand. Is is social media causing us to be so much angry at one another? Is it economic issue? Why is all this anger everywhere?
It's all of the above. Like when we think about everything that's happening now with violence, it's not something new. I feel like we haven't really looked into the root of the violence. People are acting like it's coming out of nowhere, but it's years of suppression, years of silence around gun violence. People who look like us. I don't know if you know any gun factory owners. So it's just like that's one thing. I don't know whether here or Liberia. I don't know any owners of those factories. So that's one thing. But going back to the emotional and the mental piece, in the spiritual piece, like people really don't love God for real. They don't really love Jesus for real because the principles is not being lived in out loud. They only want joy to the world and peace on earth in December during Christmas time to make sales. So like that's my perspective on what I see. You can't have like there's a lack of love. People don't love themselves. They don't really love the creator. They don't really know how to love other people or communities, right? They see it maybe as a financial thing. You mentioned, is it economic? Well, things is costing a higher amount of money than it was before. And it didn't just start right now. When we think about 5 years ago, during 2020, that economic shift. And there's always a conversation on, oh, this president or this person. No, if we study economics, there's certain periods in time where the stocks is going up. And we think about 100 years ago, even for say, either 2006, if we don't want to go that far, but it's really studying the current events that increase prices that makes housing cost more, whether you're renting or purchasing mortgage. But the other piece of anger which we see is people people really selfish.
Yeah.
It's a lot of selfishness, a lot of greed. I like to speak on character and like identifying emotions on things, to make it more like a character flaw, a moral or ethical thing. Um, that's just
Yeah.
how I believe.
Yeah. Peterson though, right? Is like, I mean, like in this country, right, there's almost like election shock. I mean, election cycle every like 2 years, right? And then even like the last presidential election, right? People were shifting away from the other administration. It felt like, maybe the Republican Party or Donald Trump or whoever, I mean, is like because they were angry at Biden, right? I mean, to Adrian's point, right? They were angry at Biden administration was not doing enough. Prices are so high, inflation is so high. So maybe when the new administration comes, things will be great, things will be good. But it's like to your point, Edo, like the anger has increased, right? The anxiety seems to have increased, like so much like negativity coming out of us, like from all corners and stuff like that. Wonder, man, but what is going on here, man? Some of us just want to put food on our table, have fun, live a normal life. What's going on?
There's no such thing as a normal life anymore. And like when Idris was speaking, I'm like, this is exactly what was on my mind right before I came on air. When I saw the topic, I'm like, the spiritual piece was like the meaning the thing for me to tackle, to say, okay, yes, we live in a fallen world, and the Bible did say when the end time comes, these things, although it was there before, is like she said, it didn't just spring out of nowhere on us to be like, oh man, why are people so much angrier now than 2 years ago, 5 years ago? It's always been there, but now is everything is escalating, and we have, I guess, social media to thank for that, because before, this anger was being displayed everywhere, but it was not right in front of us to see it like the minute it happens. It used to take time for news and information to get to us, but now everything is right in front. So with that, you think like, oh man, it's all happening at once. No, the same thing's been happening over and over. But we live in a fallen world, and people, like she said, people are just the heart of man is just wicked. I mean, and then if you take God out of it, it's like it's even worse.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
like you said, there's no one cause to say, oh, this is the me cause, economic, or, and when we're talking about administrations, most times people forget this is two sides of one coin. There's no like this party, that party.
Okay.
I said birds of a feather. That's what I call it. The other day, somebody was talking
Yep.
about this party, right, left.
Nope.
Listen, birds of a
It's
feather. It's a
yep.
wing. It's the eagle. The eagle is everywhere.
It's
So
one bird. It's
one
one
bird.
bird.
We got national bird. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
Okay.
saying.
sometimes there might be things that because human our the way we operate, if somebody is catering to something like what you want to hear or what you want to see, if that's what they're presenting to you, you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, that's what I align with and stuff. And then the other side, although they're not pushing the same ideas, but the underneath is the same, but
Mhm.
what they show on the surface is something different. So you see that, you're like, oh, I don't want to go that way. I'm going this way.
Okay, okay, okay. That's fair. That's fair.
I,
That's fair. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, English. Go ahead.
I would say like what he said. What you see underneath. Again, you got to go back to the roots
Yep.
before you get to the fruit. What a good apple, rotten apple, right? And that is what is being produced here. And these people do not want to face the truth of the roots and the formation and the foundation. The foundation was built on false rock,
Hmm.
false rock.
Okay.
When it comes to the faith, right? Because they say one nation under God. That's what I learned. I see it on the money. That's what I learned. So when it goes into that, like, how does God look like in the foundation and formation of a nation? I keep seeing people say, healing the soul of a nation. That was somebody's slogan, you know? And it's like, how do we actually heal that as a country without dismissing or erasing the oppression? Because everybody likes to talk about God. This is a Christian country. But when you look at that, the same Moses who experienced slavery, right? The same slavery that is parts working hard to not talk about any race. It hurts me as someone of African descent, West African descent, and Liberian descent. We have been erased for years. Our story never told in any U.S. history, Black history at all. You know, people like to say people are angry, but how would you feel somebody try to wipe you out and erase you and your family? The native people understand that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
then we talk about the people, right? There's people who just been running around doing what they want to do,
Yeah.
and some people are not happy. And like, how do you walk out your values? How do you have peace on earth every day and not just December? How do
Mm-hmm.
you
Hmm.
spread like hope to people? What does public healing and public health look like? That's what I would say, because I love a good mental health, and like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
talk about well.
Yeah. So here's the thing,
So
though.
yeah.
Here's the thing I want to bring up here, right? I know you guys mentioned I'm a spirituality. You know, I'm a person. I'm by any means, I don't consider myself a religious person, Peterson. But I do one thing I pride myself of. I do make sure, right? I'm a Catholic. I do make sure I do my 1 hour every Sunday, go to mass. My 1 hour because for mentally to me, right, it frees me up. I go listen. I go listen to the Word of God. You know what I mean? And things like that. My pastor will tell me, oh yeah, love your neighbor, love your enemy, right? Love, love one another, right? It's not easy stuff, have family values. I listen to these words, I come, right? I'm ready maybe for my week and stuff like that. But I mean, the Adrian's point earlier, even to your point, it seems like the whole like love is missing in the society these days. Everyone just you wonder what is everyone just chasing? What is our value? It's like the war is moving so fast. You got people, and then like after it's like the anger thing just creeping in on us. I see you guys say, man, it's been around all along. But I think like to you guys' point, maybe like I mean, we moving away from God or spirituality or religion that is just because like a lot of people have nothing to look up to. Okay, I see the one thing is like having something to look up to, right? I mean like when I'm facing difficulty, right, I give myself assurance. I give myself assurance. You know what? God will provide. You know what I mean, right? Things will work out because that's what I learned. That's why I go to church. Those are the messages I hear, right? It's not easy, but when I hear the message, I see, you know what? God didn't bring me here for nothing. I know He's going to provide for me. Obviously, I can't just sit and put my head between my legs. I got to work, but at least I'm working. Right? I mean, I believe He got my back. A lot of people in society these days don't have that. What do you think, Peterson?
Yeah, so I think it's not that we are moving farther away from God, but
Mm-hmm.
that may be true. But I think everything is being like amplified now because when you
Mm-hmm.
think about people back in the day, I mean, even when you just talk about like Christmas, because we have people, majority of the people who are like let's say professing Christians or they are not atheists, so they
Mm-hmm.
believe in something. Easter and Christmas, those are the two times they will go to church. So, but if you don't have any value or any, because you yourself, if you like you said, you go to mass once a week for your own sanity, and then you just when you come from there, you say, "Oh, okay, I'm good for this week, and I'll go." But a lot of people do not have that. They just get up, go to work, and then this the whole work and not getting paid fairly or at least what they believe is fair pay, they're not getting that. It feels angering people because if I'm going to work, if I go to a McDonald's, I work 8 hours and then I come home, I do that for 2 weeks, and then when my paycheck comes, I'm like, man, after I paid my car note and my rent, I got nothing, like nothing left. What? So then why do I feel like I need to get a second job? Because people are working more and more, harder and harder, but they're not seeing the increase in their wage. So it fuels anger. And then if you think about it, a few years ago, the dollar could get you maybe a milk, or $1.50 could get you a gallon of milk. But now, if you take that same $1.50, you need to double it or add something to it. So now money doesn't go as far as it used to. So now it stresses people out, and people are just angry. They have that built-in anger and frustration, and sometimes it's self-directed, but most times they direct it at others. This is why we're talking about if you like just have a conversation with somebody, and it could be the simplest thing like to disagree on, and they're just gonna go in on you because they're just expressing that anger and
Yeah.
frustration.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting though, right? Let's look with the advent of social media, and then like even when you watch news these days, I mean, in fair disclosure, in fairness, I don't watch TV because I feel that sometimes when you watch TV, I want to watch sports. But when I'm watching TV, I want to watch sports. But do you think the constant bad news, right, either on social media, on TV, national media, is that amplifying all of this anger basically, right? Because sometimes when you open your social media, negativity sells, right? Maybe bad news sells, and so it's just out there. Do you think it's contributing or is amplifying all of this anger, and then I mean, it's really getting worse?
So I would say, going back to just to bring it all around, like the social media, the anger. Anger is an emotion, right? You talked about love. It's like you need to know and love yourself outside of social media. You need to
Yeah,
know that the power of God lives within you. I feel like there's too much focus on external things, even going to church once a week. Like that's not enough to sustain and feed your soul. That's what I've learned on my spiritual journey. It has to be a daily practice of being intentional with reading, the word, whatever spiritual text you believe in. I believe in the Bible, so feeding your soul on that level, and then also being able to take care of your mind, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, to be reflecting on what are my thoughts? Are they healthy thoughts? To be honest, a lot of us have negative thoughts because, again, if you see negativity on the news, social media, in your real life, then yeah, people lose hope. But going back to the faith, like God gives us hope of things, even when you can't see it. So having those little practices that builds up a lifestyle of, yeah, these bad things happen, but this is how good my God is. This is how I know that I'm going to be able to overcome. This is how I know that God will provide regardless, because I've seen Him do it in different circumstances. I think a lot of times people don't have gratitude, so their attitude is mad because you don't have this, or mad because you don't have that. But like, we have everything we need by just breathing, you know,
yeah,
being able to
yeah,
wake up, to have something to eat, to
yeah,
have somewhere to call home. There's a lack of appreciation for a lot of things because, again, you want what you see. And then even the patience piece of not being patient, there's a disconnection from the land. So you don't know how long it takes for an apple to grow on the tree. You don't know how long it takes for something to grow. So you want it now. So that's the part of anger, of wanting something now and not being patient to wait for it or to work for it. So,
okay, okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing why is everyone so angry. That's the topic for tonight. Why is everyone so angry? Is that there's anger everywhere right now, even in our current discourse, right? Our current political discourse, right? It seems to be anger. Because of anger, they are canceling comedians. Then, oh, you must know they're getting serious. Like, it's getting serious. There's anger everywhere on social media, everywhere. So tonight, why is everyone so angry? And how can we come back to the happy medium where in like just maybe like is there a thing as a happy anger though? I mean, it's like Peter said maybe I mean, I'll go back to ages of days, right? But is there a thing as a happy anger? Maybe like because I feel that with the kind of anger that's coming out, it seems like rage. But is there a thing as a happy anger? It's like maybe like I can be angry, right? But I don't have to take it out to your point. I don't have to take it out on anybody. I have to first of all reflect on what is making me angry. So is there anything is just something as a happy anger, even within your own experience, right? If you feel angry, right, it's like how do you express your anger? Maybe because everyone experience that. I mean,
Yeah,
just a human feeling, I think.
Yeah, so it's an emotional thing, and if you talk about happy anger, people will always refer to like when Jesus cleaned out the temple. People say, "Yeah, have that like holy, holy anger." While you're angry, but you do not sin, because anger itself being an emotion, it's going to be expressed in many ways. You cannot tell somebody like, "Hey, when you're angry," like how I will express if I'm angry or displeased about something. If I, because for me, I'm not like an explosive person, and my dad always said, "Be careful with people like you because you quiet, you don't like, you don't express it. I'd rather have somebody around me that will like yell and something. At least I know they're angry. But for people like you who just keep it in, keep it in, keep it in, it's not good. So but for me, if I'm angry or if something I'm not like if I'm perturbed about something, I will get in my car, drive out, go like you. I like sports, so if I don't have sports to watch, I'll either go play if the conditions are not like friendly enough for me to play something. I'll sit in my car and watch a YouTube video or listen to music. And I like gospel music. I like praise and worship. So I will listen to some music and whatever I was angry about, it doesn't mean like, yeah, the minute I start listening to it, it's going to go away. No, but uh, slowly that anger is going to go away. But the same time, I cannot tell somebody like, oh yeah, every time you're angry, because we do that to a lot of people. The way we express our emotions, we like to put down others and say, oh, why do you have these like angry outbursts? Why don't you just like if you're angry, get in your car and drive somewhere or go do something? But everybody have a way of expressing, and there are healthy ways that you can express your anger. Like to your point, if you are angry, you don't have to go out because you're angry. You get in your car. Anybody that's crossing the road, you like you better get out of the way, or else I'm gonna run you over because I'm angry. No, but you can have that anger, but still be grounded. But what
Mhm.
it takes to have that now, that's a whole different story. Because if you I think not to bring like the spiritual piece, but if you don't have God or like the spirit within you to keep you grounded, I mean, anything is is
So
possible.
anything can trigger. I mean, anything can trigger you,
Anything can
basically, right?
trigger
Anything can trigger you. It seems like we are living in a moment where folks quick to become trigger, and
you.
every
Yes,
little thing can trigger people
every
these
little
days.
thing.
Yeah,
And
every little thing.
sometimes the reaction from what you get, people get confused. Like, wait, what did I do? Did I like just that simple thing I did? Is that what's like triggering this person? But that's because we talk about people having like this pent up anger within them,
Mhm.
and many times they don't know a healthy way to express it.
As a yeah, Adrian's though, right? As a wellness professional and mental health, expert here. If someone, if a client comes to you like feeling angry, feeling some anxiety, feeling maybe down, stressed out, what's the message to them? How do you work with them?
Well, again, identifying that anger is an emotion,
Mm,
and it's okay to be angry. It's not okay to stay angry. Um, so really just identifying what made you angry. That was something that you asked before. And like, who are you angry at? Like, people could be angry at themselves for not speaking up when they were taken advantage of. People
mm,
can be angry at someone who did take advantage of them, right? So
mm,
externally, they could be angry. They could be angry at God because it's like, hello, God, where you at? All of this is happening, Or why'd you allow this to happen to me? So really identifying where this anger is coming from and how you can transform that pain into something more purposeful and powerful. So that's what I like to do with meditation and mindfulness and having that level of self awareness. Because the truth is, honestly, we weren't taught emotional intelligence or mental health not in education, and not really in homes unless you were afforded therapy. And then finding the right therapist for you that understands your um, cultural identity and be able to help you whether they look like you or not.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's finding those tools, learning and embracing that, and finding those tools.
Yeah. Peterson though, right? I mean, it's like the whole issue of anger, right? Like anger seems to be, like I said, everywhere. I mean, our at our jobs, we go out or maybe hang out, you see anger, right? It's like even sometimes in our own homes, right? And where a lot of people spend their time right now on social media, where already algorithms, right? The only thing you see coming at you is like maybe like two people arguing, someone cursing out in our own community, like the most famous or the most popular, social media folks, where like the shadow robbers, right? Where even folks go out there, curse each other out, you know what I mean? Or maybe perfect key, right? Cause either it's like cussing out folks and stuff and things like that. Like even in our political discourse, when we take it back to like you see like people just so everywhere is like, there's anger. But how can we try to like maybe avoid that, right? Or how do you avoid it? Because for me, sometimes, as I said, right, when I'm not, I intentionally have picked a Saturday to just go hang out with my friends, right? So I just want to get away from my family, just go hang out with my boys. We play basketball. From there, we'll go sit down somewhere, talk trash, you know, and sip some drinks and eat some food and just take my mind off of maybe whatever going on at my house or something like that, right? Get away from my kids a little bit. How do you make because it seems like it's everywhere at our job, home, everywhere we go. How do you navigate that? I mean, in a current environment that we live in.
Yeah, that's a great question because when you think about it, like everywhere that you go on a daily basis, you will either encounter somebody that is dealing with anger, and for those who deal with it in different ways, we just need to find a way to low. I don't want to say lower the temperature because we have to first find what is the root cause of all this anger, because what's making you angry is not the same thing that will make me angry. But to find a balance wherein you say, okay, if something is going on either at home or at work or somewhere where you will say, I'm going to take a little breather, step out, get some air. Now, if it's like something that is confrontational, because if you are having maybe an argument with somebody, at that point, we don't call that like this reserved anger that we are discussing. This is something that is built up, but then the littlest thing will trigger that person. So we need to develop ways that people can actually talk things out, or if you're not angry at somebody, even if you're angry at yourself, to go out and not to say, oh, everybody go to therapy, but to go and try and find ways to get that anger, um, not out of you, but to get that anger down so that the smallest things cannot trigger you. And you have to find what your trigger is. But some people, they cannot pinpoint what is triggering them. They are just angry all the time. Like you will find somebody like, yeah, oh, that person, you just not seeing them? Yeah, but they're always angry. But what is making that person to always be angry? Is it a past trauma that they are unhealed from, that they just keeping within them and it's making them angry? And with that, it's not healthy for the person, because if one day they have the explosiveness that
Mhm.
not healthy for them, it can cause them their life. So
Yeah.
we need to figure out a way to get out of these situations. So like we said, people can hang out with their friends. You can find somebody or a comfortable place or a safe place to talk about it too. Because if you don't talk it out, nobody's gonna know. So if we need to stop being like judgmental as well, because this is what like on social media and things, if somebody comes and tells me like, man, yeah, this person did this to me, this is why I'm angry. Then I go ahead and make a video out of it, and I turn it into a viral movement and post that. And I'm not helping that person. But with the social media piece, it's like some people are promoting that because we said negativity sells and people
Hmm.
like news. This is why uh, the other night I told you on Tuesday that for a few years, Chicago have not been the in the top 10 of cities with like the highest homicide or murder rates or violent crimes. But because of that negative news about Chicago, it seems like the worst city in the U.S. Even though it's not even in the top 10 for,
Yeah,
especially for being a large city.
city.
So
Yeah. Hmm.
negative news sells, and we know that from back home. Bad news travels, and if somebody is doing good, you will not hear about it, but only the negative things you will hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Agents, though, there's two things that kind of comes to mind, right? I mean, just listening to Peterson, right? Is it do we live in a current environment where in like our expectations are so high, either like sometimes of political leaders or sometimes of ourselves or our bosses, or maybe like how we set expectations so high that those expectations are not being met, and so it's like it's creating anxiety, stress, and then leading to what to this. I mean, to this outward anger, right? Because maybe now like you hear like influencers, maybe influencers are making a boatload of money, and then you hear yeah, right. You expect that, you have that same expectation, right? It's not coming through. Have we set expectations so high in the current environment and it's not being met? So guess what? Everyone's so angry.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people were sold the American dream, and it's like, how do you get to it? And it's like chasing after this image of what success
Yeah.
and money looks like, because ultimately that's money. People, like they said, negativity sells, right? So
Mhm.
like, really, how do we turn that mindset around money around? Um, and that's through yourself, like your self worth or your needs or your skills, your gifts. And I feel like there's too much expectation. I wouldn't say expectation, because like if you put yourself or the people vote you in as a leader to, have these goals and you don't do it, yeah, people are going to be mad. But like on a individual level, we have the power to be able to make change and shift the culture, going back into transforming from like pain and anger to something purposeful and good. Like I still don't believe this country believes in God at all. Like, isn't it the good news? Where's the good news? So for me, that's what I focus on, that uplifts my mood and my spirit, and share that with people. Like, you have the power to shift atmospheres, right? You bring your peace with you. And then if they don't want that peace, you walk away. You don't have that much anger to attack people, especially if you profess to believe in Christ. Because he said he could have got 12,000 angels to come fight on his behalf. But he chose to surrender and give it to God and trust that God is going to take care of it all. So for me, like staying rooted in my faith and my values
Yeah.
allows me to have grace and mercy on people. Like you said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. Like they don't know mental health or emotional health or how to be well for themselves so that they can be well for their neighbors or the people that they are called to serve.
Hmm.
So that's really what I would say, is like really reflect on who you are and why you're here, who you're called to serve, and how you can do better each day to sustainably take care of yourself, and don't
Yeah.
allow what's outside of your boat to get in and sink you down, because ultimately that's what anxiety and stress and worry and fear and doubt, all of those things, is like you have the power to choose how you want to feel by
Hmm.
transforming your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in that regard, though, right, I would throw this to the both of you. I mean, I've always said sometimes as soon as you hear gun violence or mass shooting, they say, oh, mental health, mental health. But I've said it many times on this platform, I'll say the folks, I said, man, so when you live in America, or even in the Western world now, we live, right, with the pressure, with so much pressure of everything. Everyone has mental health issue. So to preface that, I guess what I'm trying to get to here, right, is like I know you brought that. Do we all need therapy? I guess one way or another. Do we need therapy? I will start with you, Angela. Do we need? Is that because do we need
Listen,
therapy,
listen.
right? Because we might some
People
people might
need.
be avoiding, but do we need therapy? I guess, right, to
I
kind of
feel like it
calm
has
down
to
all of
be a
this.
shift in what therapy looks like. As community people, like God didn't create us to just be alone. So our healing, yes, I see him. I'm talking. Okay. So in our healing, it can't just look like on an individual level. It's an individual and a community level. And because certain things were created on an individual aspect, that's where there's a disconnect. So really the focus is like, what does that healing look like for you holistically? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, socially. Like we can create community conversations, and just like we're doing right now. I went to a conference today, Black and Brown Birthing Summit, talking about helping mothers, but also helping fathers show up to be better for themselves and their families. So it's really how shifting how we see healing and community and mental health. Like it's not just the one individual. It's a family, it's a community thing, and we all have to take accountability and responsibility in identifying how we can all do better.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson, though, right? I mean, the reason why I brought that up, right? I had a boss, I used to work at a company, senior, senior VP in finance, global finance. And he said, he's a British guy, but he lives in the US here now. He says that once a week he goes to therapy, right? He just go and talk to his therapist. And I'm sitting there like, I said, okay, it is normal, do, very successful. I'm sitting there like, okay, what? You go to therapy once a week? For what? You know what I'm saying? I said, well,
So
but then,
you said you go to mass though. So like that's like
Yeah,
therapy is a form of
exactly.
communication. So it's really about having an open space to feel safe to say how you feel, right?
Yep.
It's self-expression. So whether
Hmm.
you're going to a therapist or a friend, but it's really people being knowledgeable on like the tools and resources when they can't support you. Whether that's in the spiritual community from pastors and priests or that's, from families. Having those extra resources, whether it's a therapist or like you said, you go play with your guys. So you have tools. A lot of people don't know that they need these things. It's understanding like what are our needs and how can we get them met, and not on like a selfish kind of way, but on a way that we don't have to be in a survival state of mind of I need to protect me or I need to do this. Like that's the level of true freedom that I really hope and pray that more people can experience in, in this country and on the earth.
yeah. I mean, okay, you brought up a good point, right? But I mean, yeah, I got my mind that I go to every day, right? But I just go listen to my priest. He speak to me. I'm not vomiting it. I'm not telling you anything. I'm not expressing anything to hear, right?
Yeah.
And also, right? And then also, hey, I go play with my guys on Saturdays. We have fun and stuff like that. But a lot of people, to your point, don't have those kind of a tool. We live in a country right now. People spend more time on their screen. And loneliness is one of the like biggest issue in this country. I mean, like you listen to that a lot of statistics. So many people are lonely in America and around the world. Even young people. So a lot of people don't have the tools. Maybe some of us have developed to deal with unnecessary stuff, right? Because there's so much stuff going on. So Peter's, is like when that guy was saying it, like he goes to church, isn't it like because a lot of people don't go to church these days. People don't go to church. It's just something somebody work on Sunday, they don't go. So maybe driving people towards this kind of a thing, right? Maybe like seek therapy. I gotta be once a week, but once a month, go talk to someone.
Yeah.
After you spend so many time on your screen, go talk to someone. Go have a conversation. What's going on with you?
Yeah. So the whole this screen culture is the one that uh, one of the main driving forces behind the you mentioned loneliness. So
Mm,
uh, many times you'll go to like a social gathering
mm,
and certain demographics of people, whether it's young kids or women or men, for a certain time, everybody's just locked into their screen. Everybody's locked into their screen and they're just scrolling. And like back then, where going to church was a thing, you would notice that a lot of the older pastors or preachers or teachers, they were also counselors. So they knew how to kind of like gauge the audience for people to say, okay, well, I'm going to go and talk to this person. And well, with that, they don't see it as a therapy session because there's a huge like stigma behind therapy because especially those of us who are of immigrant background or coming from West Africa, when you hear about therapy, like that person must be like crazy for them to actually go to a therapist. Something must be wrong with them. But not knowing that these are professionals that have been trained and educated so that they can then, like we said, many times you just go sit and talk to somebody because we're not talking to our spouses, we're not talking to our partners, we're not talking to our children are not talking to us, we're not talking. We have friends, but many times when if you meet your friend, it's to either play ball or like go somewhere. It's not you're not meeting them to be like, oh man, I had this thing that's been bothering me because you first have to be like, am I comfortable enough to tell this person like what's really happening to me? Because people become vulnerable when things that have to do with their emotions, they become vulnerable, and that's why the therapist office is like the safest place because they
Mhm.
that safe environment for people to go and discuss their things. And then I was going to touch on the question you asked earlier about like if we are setting like high expectations of
Expectations, yeah,
people,
yeah. Mhm.
and many times like when it comes to even politics, we forget to know that this person or that person, he or she is just another human being. You can expect somebody to like change the whole country or the whole state or the whole community. This is why everything from the federal to the local, they go from large and then they shrink, and then it comes to your local community. So with that, each individual plays a role. You cannot put this expectation on somebody like, okay, my well-being depends on this person, how they perform in office and stuff. So then what happens if that person does not meet whatever expectations you put, then you become angry like, how dare you not meet my expectations, when it's not incumbent on them to like please you. You as an
Mhm.
individual, you're supposed to your work for yourself and try to find your own path, but fit within that community so that you can have people around you. Because for as long as humans have been on this earth, they always say no man is an island. You cannot like one person cannot get on that boat and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go find a new place, a new island, and just live there by myself. You need a
Yeah,
community.
yeah. I mean, it's like engines though, right? I saw something happen in this country, especially in this country, even around the world now. So, oh, mental health, right? Everybody blaming on mental health. Oh, it's because of mental health. Oh, the person suffering from mental health.
Yeah.
Again, I would say, right? I would say, it's like you. I would say because of the kind of world we live in, right? Where it's all about the mighty dollar. It's all about economics. I think like mental health is natural because you have to pay your bills, especially if you live in the Western world. When the bills are coming due, a friend of mine told me a long time ago that in America the months end so fast. By the time the month, and the reason he said that, he said
Because
that as soon
it's
you
the
pay your
bill is
mortgage,
just late.
maybe your mortgage is due, it's like or your rent, and the next one is due. All your bills, keep coming due, right? So the month ends so fast. But what I'm trying to say there is that every little thing people trying to blame it on mental health, but the angle that we see right now in society is it really mental health or maybe social or economic issue? Because right now, right in our community, right, immigrant and there's huge immigration crackdown. I mean, we just talk about Latino Heritage Month and stuff like that, right? That community, there's anxiety and fear in our community on so many levels. So the angle that we see in society is it so much driven by social and economic issue instead of us just blaming it on mental health as a mental health professional? Because that's what you hear and see every time.
Yeah, it's just a scapegoat for other people because not everybody gets to say it's their mental health, especially people who have experienced economic injustice through displacement of land and of resources, you know? So it can't just be a scapegoat. We have to provide solutions. That's what people get paid to do. You have to solve a problem and lead in whatever capacity to create a solution. We can't just keep saying that. So, yes, raise awareness on mental health, but yeah, let's also talk about the financial stress that people are experiencing, right? Let's also talk about the social well being of that individual, what their social life look like. Are they lonely? And if they are lonely, how can we create an environment that they feel safe to express how they feel, right? You mentioned therapy. I'm pro therapy. I went to therapy for multiple years. I'm grateful for it. We have to even figure out how to look for a therapist and find out what you're looking for. I feel like there's not enough conversation on that, on finding those therapists, and even like creating economic opportunities for those who want to become therapists, right? uh, for college scholarships and all of those type of things, or even funding startups that are part of creating social and economic change through talking about mental health, finding those resources. Though those are some of the things. But I did write down what you said about like um, the economic anxiety and fear. We have to be honest and see like the cost of living, right? Because people have human and basic needs, and then even on a job or a work level, seeing what that looks like. But if we look at this, the foundation of like, I read this book. It's called Founding Fathers of Finance. Like, how these people get their money? Did they go to
That's a good.
college?
Okay, founding fathers of finance. That's a good one. Okay, that's a good one.
Yes, you should look it up. It talks about banking and like the structure and organization of what we call democracy.
Hmm.
So even going back to like, hey, you know, how did these people to get money to fund these programs? Even like they talk about tariffs and budget cuts. You really got to follow the money. You really have to not place the dollar, your value yourself on a dollar, but know that you do need money to live, and like
Yeah.
also understanding that there's always been a shift economically on what money looks like. Again, as people from the soil, money looked like land, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Money
Hmm.
looks like resources. We got gold, diamonds, timber, or it could look like crops.
It's
So
a good one.
really figuring out how to get in these industries, whether I don't believe in individual economics, being Liberian, there's susus, right? There's collective and cooperative economics, and we should get into those practices and stop waiting for people to really come to save us. Like when I think about my spirituality in the book of Acts, the group of people in the community, they pull their money together so that they can be able to survive, be able to have food and the needs of the people in the community. That's just something that I believe, and then we have to be honest about the intentional disinvestment of communities, because there's not enough conversation and acknowledging like, hey, this was the wealth of this community through these things, and now they're not getting whatever they need. But with or without, you know, those people, how do we do it for ourselves as a community? Start by taking care of yourself. You mentioned love your neighbor that you heard before, but it's also love yourself as you love your neighbor. Because if you don't love yourself, how in the world are you gonna love your neighbor?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, is that Peterson? Any reaction to that? I mean, I mean, she dropped some great gems. You know, I'll let you.
No, so uh, from what she was saying, she made a lot of great points, and like she ended with loving yourself or love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to love your neighbor. You cannot have this anger like build up. You are angry even at yourself or at somebody in your family or in your community. Then people expect you to be out there and be like, oh, like smiling and be happy. No, it doesn't work like that. So first, you need to you need to work on yourself, and but you need to come to the realization that yes, like something is up. If you are angry all the time, try to find the root cause. If it's like social or economic that we said, if it's like cultural, if it's maybe unhealed trauma, that's when you will need like based on who you speak to, then they're going to recommend like, well, recommend that you go to therapy and then you like talk this out so that you can be able to get over this emotional, because like we've been saying, anger is an emotion and everybody gets angry. It's something you're going to experience, but with the level and intensity of the anger that we see now, it's like it's different. This is not just like, oh
It's
yeah,
a
people.
spiritual anger.
It is.
It's a spiritual anger.
It is. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you cannot blame it on like, yeah, it's on huge trauma or something that is just is right in our faces.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about maybe somebody love their neighbor. I know I said like, look, I love yourself, but you loving yourself, right? Maybe like in the morning you wake up, you open your social media app. Maybe that there's somebody taking a vacation somewhere in Cancun, right? I mean,
It
it's
makes you
like
angry.
yeah, and you hear, it's like trying to crawl yourself out of bed to go to work,
Yeah,
and then you can hardly for your bills. Those things, though, I mean, let's face it, right? These things sometimes, I mean, some people have said the way we, I mean, the three of us that might control our emotion. To your point earlier of Peterson, a lot of people don't have that mental capacity or to know that, hey, man, those are of number one. I agree with you guys. But to me, when I see even mature things, I see they are of vanity because I
right.
didn't bring anything to this war, so I'm
Mhm.
going to leave just the way I came here, right? So material things don't really move me. Don't get me wrong, I do love material things, but I'm more interested in what experience in life. You know what I mean? Experience and memories, creating memories. That's what gives me joy and peace. But a lot of people don't know that, right? If you see someone maybe driving a Lamborghini driving a Range Rover on social media, you feel, oh wow, why is that person doing it? And I
Yeah,
can't do it.
especially this
Comparison.
this microwave generation that they want
Okay,
that
okay,
instant
you see,
gratification.
that's a good one,
Everything
Marco
like they want it
generation.
right there, right there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Adrian.
No, I would say, I've been there before of like comparison, right? Of like seeing people on social media have these things. And my mom will always say, you don't know how those people got those things. You don't know how long it took for them to get there. So having that sound like piece of advice planted into your mind, like, you know what, you're right. And then how can I be present enough for the plan? Because I believe that a lot of times we try to get all these things, material things, and then not know ourselves, spiritually or just your entire being, so I would say just being able to not allow comparison to be a thief of your joy, right? You mentioned like you like experiences, right? And like memories. A lot of people don't have good memories, so going back into like the mindfulness and the self-reflection and the awareness, like, yeah, these wasn't so good, but in the present time, that's why the present is a gift. And people don't really see it as a gift because they're too focused on being in the past. But in the present time, how can I create more joy? How can I experience more peace? How can I create better memories? So like for me, that's what I work to do, from like going from, oh, I want that, or I should have that type mindset, to how can I work and pray and plan for these things, materially, and also not allowing those things to be my identity. That's really key. Like knowing who you are is really key, because you can have all these things and still be an empty soul, an empty vessel, be a zombie behind a screen.
That's a good one.
So
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, guys, we have been discussing, man. I mean, it's a 1 hour show. We've been having fun here, but why is everyone so angry? It's anger everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there's anger. So that's what we have been discussing tonight. So we'll just drag it for a few more minutes. I mean, a couple of things that I want to angles that I want to throw up here, and then we'll wrap it up. But Peterson, though, right? The thing about like personal within yourself. What are the signs? I mean, I'm talking about other. I'm not talking about you trying to diagnose anyone. But what are the signs when you see that maybe the anger you're having is turning into maybe harmful anger, right? Because everyone can experience that sometimes. Oh God, maybe even your own case. Sometimes like I have realized sometimes maybe shouting at my case and then I catch myself. I say, what? What am I doing? You know what I mean? And stuff, right? So it's like, at what point do you realize maybe the anger you are feeling is a harmful anger, and maybe that you need to take a step back and say, nah, don't do that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's like we've been talking about like expressing how the manner and in which way people express their anger. So for me, uh, that trigger would be if I notice like although I'm quiet by nature, but if I'm being too quiet, if I'm being
Extremely
too
quiet,
quiet
not talking to
and
no one.
just kind of mellow, then if time goes by, my wife would be like, "What's wrong?" Because although, like I said, I'm an introvert,
Yeah,
but it's gonna show. So if I'm also like expressing frustration like towards my kids or something like that, then like you, I'll catch myself like, oh, okay, like why did I just yell? The child just asked like something. Then I have to self reflect and be like, okay, well, what am I like angry about? What happened today? Like because this wasn't how I behaved yesterday. So what happened today? What did I experience, or what type of encounters did I have that is causing me to do this? And like we said, not everybody have that capability to sit and actually analyze. Like, okay, maybe this is what's going on, because some people once they start down that road they just keep going, and there's nothing to actually hold them back or stop them, and then it becomes harmful to you and those around you. So for me, I usually just like have to catch myself, and I'm not a person that um, is easily angered. So people sometimes people would say, why is it that like do you ever get angry? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm human. I get angry because
yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is, I'm always smiling. So sometimes it might not be something that is funny, but I would try to find something funny within whatever it is, that
yeah.
situation, and smile or laugh. So I usually tell people life is too short. I'm not trying to miss heaven because I'm so angry at myself or at somebody. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Entrance though, right? Is like someone watching on tonight or folks watching on tonight, and feels like, like they are always angry. What's the first step they should take towards healing? Folks, if someone been watching on tonight, they feel like God, they are always angry. As a professional, what is the first step they should take towards healing?
I would say pray.
Mm,
That's something that really helped me out a lot. When I was angry, I prayed. I said, God, this is really upsetting me. I'm angry. I'm hurt. So being honest about your emotions to your creator, whatever say that that you believe, or whatever you call God or the creator. I, so just having that conversation, I feel like if you don't have the external resources to, or they confess your sins or to talk about your anger, then you need to create an atmosphere where you can sit with yourself and witness how you feel. Even like you said, sometimes you reflect on when you are angry and upset and you check yourself, right? Is having a conscience or a recognition like that's not really who I am. And how can I work to be better? Having that accountability to your change and your healing. I feel like a lot of times people you can be angry, but don't stay angry. So that's one thing, like holding yourself responsible and accountable for your healing and finding a way. So pray is really helpful, and then finding those resources that helps with that healing mentally, emotionally, socially, just having that place. And I found these different scriptures, like you mentioned, like the righteous anger of Jesus in that time because of the injustice, and then understanding how anger can cause division. And you don't want to be a divided people. You want to be a united people. So
mm,
how can you work on healing whatever anger it is um, to be a united people?
mm.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like the sound of the United States. I like the sound of it. I love it. I
yeah.
love United. I love healing. And I just want us to be intentional on what that looks like, is honoring how people feel and how can we work together as a united states to push that forward, and not just in words and marketing but in
Yeah.
action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we live in the United States, but right now it feels like everybody talking about each other, anger, cancel culture from both sides and things like that. So hopefully, and I do agree with you, we need to come back to that united piece, united, and things like that. So, folks, so 1 hour show, as I said, we're going to wrap it up here. Why is everyone so angry? We hope, as maybe Adrian said, maybe we hope and pray, that the anger go away, that the anger goes
No, you
away.
have to work on it too, because they keep
Okay.
saying thoughts and prayers. Faith
Okay.
without works is dead. So
Okay.
when we hope and we pray, we do the work. Let's do
Okay,
it.
okay, okay. Peterson, what's the last word to folks who have been listening to us, man, for the last 1 hour? It's a great conversation. I'm glad that we brought it here on the Inner Cycle podcast tonight. This is a great conversation, right? It's great to have it. Our community feeding the same thing, the whole country is feeding the same thing, the world is feeding the same thing. No one knows what's going on. But what's the message to the folks that have been watching us or folks that are going to watch these episodes?
Yeah, thank you both for a great conversation. And for me, I'll say this is a great topic, and it's something that you would see that if you watch TV or you read like articles, this thing about anger is not like a American thing for them to be like, oh yeah, those people in the US, they're just spoiled and they're all good. No, it's everywhere. It's
Everywhere.
everywhere. And it's not one culture, it's not a cultural thing, it's not like young people, it's not, everybody going against everybody. So we just need to come to a place where we realize, like, okay, well, what is, because it has to start at an individual level. You can just say, yeah, of course, everybody's angry, but I have to check myself first and say, well, what is it that is making me angry, and how can I start this healing process? And when I come to that place where I'm like, see, I mean, you're not gonna be like, hey, I'm all happy now. No. But at least if you come to that place where that burden have been lifted, then you can help others and bring them along. But if you are trying to heal and you say, okay, well, I'm going to get this person
Mhm.
to heal with me, no, you have to work on yourself first. And that's like the governor of Utah said this few days, like social media is like a poison. It's like,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
we said from the beginning, anger is always been in society. It's always been part of the human nature because it's an emotion. But now it seems like it's amplified because it's right in our faces. Like
Yeah.
the demonstrations that you're talking about in London, like 200. If it was years ago, yes, we might see it on TV, but now we get to see it as it's happening. It's like
Yeah.
live, and people are angry and just going about uh, trying to express it, and some express it in a unhealthy way, and that's another thing that needs to be discussed. uh Even though we know the culture and society, people are more angrier now, how can we express that anger in a healthy way and try to talk about it so that you can, because you don't want to have like sustained anger and just
Yeah.
keeping it on. So we need to figure things out. But everybody out there, just work on yourself and try not to be so angry. Find a happy place.
Definitely, 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 definitely. That's a good one. That's a good one. Adrian, man, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As we wrap it up here, any last word from me? Was a message to the folks out there that have been watching us, are going to watch this episode. How can they create joy? How can we create joy in the world, man? As a wellness person, how can we create joy? Because for me, it's all about what? Joy, right? Even when I'm not happy, I try to find a way to create joy, just to be happy, laughing all the time, cracking jokes with my kids. How can we create joy? How can we bring back that joy in the world, man?
For me, it's always gonna be Jesus. They said the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Mm.
So like he went through a lot of stuff and he didn't do nothing but exist. So if he can
Wow,
like
yeah,
learn to like move past that and still forgive people, so like that's how we transfer, is identifying like, okay, we have this, we want joy, but we have to forgive, and then we have to love our neighbors and love ourselves. So for me, it's like understanding this is a process and it's a journey, and it's something that has to be cultivated, just like the fruits of the spirit, right? It has to be cultivated. Peace, love, joy, all of those things. So I feel like it's a character thing that we have to grow into. We have to learn these skills. Um, so even if you don't believe it from a biblical perspective, believe in a spiritual growth perspective. What does your spiritual culture or something say? Because I'm gonna believe what I believe, and it works well for me. I have joy every day, and not on this Christmas. So
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I mean, Peter she just dropped the mic right there, right? He said that's
Yep.
a great
Yep.
mic drop moment right there. So, man, folks, it's been a good episode. As I said, that's what we do here every night on the Inner Cycle podcast, 5 nights a week. We just try to bring joy, we bring conversation. At the end of the day, those are difficult conversations, but at the end of the day, man, it's all about educating our community, bringing resources, educational resources, and things like that to educate us, right? So all the anger men need to go away. All of this anger, find something that gives you joy, spiritually, anything that gives you joy, and stop being angry, right? And the whole expectation, man, we need to just maybe our expectation should be within ourselves, right? Is like and and not depend so much on external expectation. But thank you so much, Peterson, from the winning city of Chicago. Thank you, Angel, for joining us tonight, folks. It's been a great episode. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Our social segment is coming back tomorrow, and it's gonna be loaded. So thank you so much, folks, and you guys have a good night.
Good
Podcast
night.
where hearts
good
unite,
night, good night. Thanks for having me. Be
Yeah.
blessed.
sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light.